Meet me. All right, boys, welcome back. And today we're going to go over these balance adjustments. Don't worry, April Fool's is over. I'm sure some of you guys are still salty about the fake dev notes I wrote. I wrote that, by the way, because I've had people say that I complain, but I don't tell them what I want. That post is pretty much what I want. But, anyways, let's get into this one. Obviously, I haven't read this yet, but I heard that Destina is really broken now. I haven't heard much about the other ones, so I'm assuming their buffs aren't as good. But I hear that Destina got a revive or something. But I don't know anything about the other ones. But there's a lot of heroes here. This I love. Is one of my favorite heroes. This no one cares about Dark Corvus. He's just a Guild Wars juggernaut, although nowadays he isn't usable in Guild Wars. But let's see what they did to him. Diene I love. I know there's a lot of Aramintha simps, but I've never cared about regular Aramintha. Ludwig, don't care about. This we'll see. Who the heck wanted this buffed? And this is fine. I think they buffed Armin before. But let's just, let's get right into it. Aramintha. Blah, blah, blah. So this used to be her S2, so they attached her S2 to her S1, so I'm guessing she gets a brand new S2. Ally, except for the caster, uses an attack, increases CR by 20%. Okay, this is really good. Basically, they turned her into Summerside Asseria, right? Except it doesn't push the whole team, it just pushes her. But this means that you could build her with, like, lower speed and decent attack, and pair her with, like, Pyrrha. The problem is you're going to pair with two people that can AoE attack, because if it's just Pyrrha and they ban Pyrrha, you're going to have to S3 into immunity, which isn't going to work, obviously, unless they give her a strip. 65% chance each to inflict 2 burns, so I guess that's up from 50%, and decreases combat readiness of the enemy with the highest combat readiness by 30%. That's actually kind of cool, because she will be built with effectiveness, obviously, so that's obviously going to have a high chance of landing. Overall, I think these are good buffs. Is it going to be enough to make her a super meta unit? I don't think so, because her core problem's still the same. She relies on someone else to strip those immunities before she could do anything. And on top of that, this would have been really good back in the day. Nowadays, with like Kekwirik and Delibet and just so many, who knows what Destina does now, so many great cleansers in the game, it's very hard to land this S3 because we're basically going to have to build a team around using this. But she might be a very scary 5 pick, maybe even a must ban in certain situations. This, I think, is actually a huge buff here. Because getting her to be really fast with high effectiveness and still do any kind of reasonable damage was hard. That should be a lot easier to build her now, because you could probably get away with only like 230 speed or something. 20% CR should get her to the front. So yeah, overall I think these are solid buffs. So I already have a plus 15 Silverblade Aramintha. Maybe I should throw some gear on her. Next, Dark Corvus. What's the difference? Before, so it's the heal is proportional to the max health. Okay, I don't think that makes that much of a difference. Devil's Descent. Okay, his S3 grants Extinction. This makes him... it makes him better in Guild Wars, I guess, but... The problem with Guild Wars is the tanky comps don't work as well anymore, because a lot of people in Guild Wars shift their defenses to very high damage ones, because they don't want it to be stalled out by like stupid Ruel crowd teams. That's why Dark Corvus is hard to use. The defenses nowadays just have so much damage, and also with things like a Ravian injury, when your Dark Corvus gets injured, he does no damage. So they actually increased the damage. It's not clear from this how much more it is. Overall, I think these buffs are largely irrelevant for RTA. I still don't think anyone's going to use Dark Corvus. I mean, who knows, unless it's healing like 100% of his life every turn. But overall, this is clearly better. I wonder how much more his damage increased. Can you use this in RTA? Just build a super tanky Dark Corvus and troll people by S3 extincting them over and over? Maybe. I mean, it's just hard because so many heroes in the game do so much damage. Like Hwayoung will just kick him in the face. LQC will probably one-shot him. But if he lives, this might be pretty scary. I don't know. Overall, I like it. I don't really think Dark Corvus needed buffs that bad, but overall, I'm fine with it. Looks solid. Diene. Okay, so the only thing they changed was to dispel 2 debuffs instead of 1. So this does have benefits because if they just went single strip on you, mainly AOL, it means you could get off like 2 things like the unbuffable plus the silence, assuming that Diene resisted it. So overall, this is a very solid buff. Is this enough to make Diene relevant again? Not really, because Amelia is just so much better with the CR push and stuff. I guess crit hit resistance is pretty good, but overall, it's not that Diene is like terrible. It's just that like she started getting power crept, right? She got outclassed. Like, why bring Diene when you could have Kekwarrick? Since Diene doesn't really heal without Rod, Kekwarrick can essentially do the same thing, except most people would rather have immunity than crit hit resistance, and Kekwarrick can actually do damage, weaken attack, and he also gives a barrier to the team like Diene does. So this is certainly better. I don't know if this will really change the state of Diene in RTA, though. Aramintha, I honestly don't really even know what she does. So this got nerfed. They took away ignore effect resistance from it. Okay, that's weird. Okay, it just detonates burns, but it doesn't ignore effect resist anymore. Interesting. I don't really use her, so I don't know that much. Ooh, wait a minute. This strips 2 buffs from the enemy team and increase attack of all allies for each unhealable inflicted. Increase combat readiness of the caster by 20. So she could get an extra turn. So what, you build her fast, strip their whole team, give your whole team attack buff, and then get an extra turn? A 100% chance and a 50% chance. So it's not a very reliable stun, but she also gets survivability. So if you build her fast, you can S2 strip their whole team, attack buff your whole team, and then possibly stun them. That sounds good on paper. I don't actually know off the top of my head. I mean, no one uses Aramintha, what her base speed is. I don't think she's that fast. But that's kind of interesting, although it kind of sucks if you get 15%ed. And so it's like a super unreliable extra turn mechanic, right? Because if you get 15%ed on 1 unhealable, when you're hitting 4 targets, that's pretty likely to happen. You're just not going to get the extra turn. I don't know. I'm probably saying some dumb things. If I missed anything, you guys are always good at correcting me, but that's how I'm reading it. She has to unhealable their entire team to get that extra turn, the 100% CR push. If she gets resistant on everything or anything, she kind of gets hosed there. Let's see. Let's actually see how they take it. Blah, blah, blah. 1 turn, but dispel bust for all. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, ignite. I kind of like the ignore effect resistance thing. Interesting. All right, Ludwig. Ludwig blows, but he does a ton of damage. He's one of the hardest hitting heroes in the game. Let's see what they do. I don't actually even know. I guess this is the S3, and this is the S2. Okay. Decreasing buff duration by 1 turn. 100% chance to stun for 1 turn. So that's a very big buff. When the target is stunned... Ooh, and he has a soul burn. It's expensive soul burn, though, but ignores effect resistance. I mean, clearly that's a lot better. 50% is nothing compared to 100%, especially when you could ignore ER. And you get a pretty solid CR boost. Attacks on one enemies that extends the caster's buff duration by 1 turn. Penetrates target's defense by 30%. So before it was a maximum of what, 30%? Now it's going up to 45%. Ludwig already hit hard, really, really hard to begin with. So he's going to hit even harder. Oh wait, I should look at the awakened version. No, it's the same thing. Oh wait, 60% def pen versus 50. And they took away the barrier and they increased the damage dealt? But he hit like a truck already. Was that the problem with Ludwig? I forget the problem with Ludwig wasn't his damage. It was just that he could never actually get it off. It's louder than blah, blah, blah. So he gets an extra turn of invincibility when he uses the S3. So I guess it helps his survivability a lot. You have to make sure he survives that first turn or doesn't get disabled or whatever. And they're changing their EE. What's Moonlight Blow? The S2? Yeah, the S2. I don't know about this one, guys. I mean, yeah, he's going to hit hard. He's going to hit like a truck. But he already kind of hit like a truck. I don't think him hitting like a truck was the reason why people didn't use Ludwig. I mean, is this enough to make him better? Put him on... Is he even a mage? Put him on Tagahells and... So I don't even know what class this hero is. I literally have never seen him once in RTA. But I don't really anticipate seeing him. So, general rule of thumb, guys, after a balance patch, you're going to see all these heroes for the first week or two after the balance patch notes, because everyone wants to use them with the new buffs and stuff. And then a month later, all of them will... Well, not all of them. A lot of them will disappear as people realize they're still not good. So we'll see, but you'll be able to fight him a few times when this balance patch comes out. I don't really think this is going to make a difference. And also, I think the bigger thing is not that many people have Ludwig built. Considering how mola-starved everyone is, how many people are going to want to invest into Ludwig unless you already had him built? So, iffy on this one. Destina, this is the S1. It's just the S1, but Destina has a lot of HP, so scaling it proportional to Destina's health is obviously way better than the target's. Assuming that your target has a lot less HP than Destina, which 99% of the time they will. S2 blesses an ally, dispelling 2 debuffs and recovering health before, so they nerfed the CR push from 50 to 30%, but now it cleanses 2 debuffs. So now she's basically Emilia without the attack buff, right? And they decreased her healing. Okay. Destina, let's get the awakened one. Here's the sauce. Wow, okay. So, revives all dead allies to 20% health. For allies that are not dead, dispels all debuffs before recovering health. They got rid of this mechanic where they increase CR. This was actually kind of good, by the way. People abused this against control comps back in the day, but I guess it's not really a concern anymore. At the start of the battle, grant Spirit's Blessing. Okay, so they give her 60% extra ER on the first turn, so she can't really be controlled right away. Can't be dispelled. Healing decrease. So they lowered her overall healing, but improved her utility and gave her an AoE revive. I wonder what the rationale for this is. Oh wait, there's an exclusive equipment, blah blah blah. Oh, so she gets a 50. She still has a 50% CR push on S2 if you use that exclusive equipment. I actually kind of like this one too, though. The decreased skill cooldown on her S3. I mean, obviously, these are really strong buffs, right? I don't know. So people were saying that she's so good now. I'm really not sure. So she's much better, but I'm trying to compare her to Emilia right now, because to me, essentially their kits are very similar now, with the exception of this, obviously, right? Reviving people to 20% health, I mean, if you've done RTA for a long time, and you've made for a long time, you kind of get the idea that reviving them at 20% health, it doesn't really do that much a lot of time because you just get killed immediately right away anyway. So she has no way of attack buffing or anything. So on the offensive front, she doesn't really contribute much other than pushing her team every once in a while. So she can keep your team topped off, but who knows how much she decreased the healing. I think she's a lot better, and maybe you could bring some stall comp nonsense back, especially with that battle frenzy thing now, and just have her be a really annoying heal battery. I'd have to see. I don't think I want to build her yet. I'll see if I lose to her, and then I'll build her, because I like to play very aggro, and this seems kind of stally. I hate that playstyle. But yeah, I think this is probably what has everyone super excited. That is pretty nuts. But realistically, you don't want your team to be dead anyway. And outside of that, like Amelia with the attack buff and the fact that, she's just a lot faster than Destina too. Overall, I think I still prefer Amelia, at least for my playstyle, but we'll see. I guess if you have another attack buff on your team, it's a wash, but still. Guider Aither, I don't actually know what he does. I don't even know what moves these are. The Wave of Force is the S3. He has a heal. Okay, boring, whatever. Dispels all buffs before increasing. Okay. I think he's still going to be ass. CR push is kind of nice, though. I don't know. I mean, you guys correct me if I'm wrong. I bet we're not going to see this and he's still going to be ass based on what I'm reading. Increase amount recovered. Yeah, I mean, he actually does hit pretty hard, but yeah, he just doesn't do that much otherwise, and I don't really see any reason why this would suddenly make him amazing. Like, yeah, he's going to full strip, but whatever. Like, are people building this with effectiveness? Probably not. And whatever. Increasing attack in the next high, whatever. I'm not that interested in that. Koli, 75% chance to... Oh, it's a cheap soul burn. This is actually interesting. Steal 2 buffs. That's kind of cool. Interesting. So what else are they doing to her? Grant stealth to the caster for 3 turns. At the end of the turn, detonates any bleeding effects and bombs inflicted on the target. Okay. And the S3 attacks the enemy with dagger and bomb. I don't even know her old kit because I never saw her. Decreasing buff duration by 1 turn. Inflicting bleeding, planting a bomb, so she's another bomb unit. Increasing CR of herself by 50%. If the target is a fire elemental hero, ignores effect resistance and increased combat readiness. Okay, so it gives her an extra turn. Okay, you guys know what this is? This is like a budget Huayang counter. This is what they always do, right? They release some broken-ass unit, and then they buff some other unit to have some weird mechanic to counter it. So I feel like this is just meant to counter Huayang. Koli's pretty fast. You bomb her and you blow her up right away. Outside of dealing with Huayang, is this going to be good? I don't know. Probably not so much. But against Huayang, it's probably going to be really good. But do you really want to draft Koli just to deal with Huayang? Actually, yeah, maybe. Maybe. So the real problem is, again, do you want to Mola this just to deal with Huayang? Unless you're a Turbo Whale, you probably have a lot of other things to Mola, so that's the real question. But I think this is actually pretty bomb against Huayang, so we'll see. It's just another matter of, like, do you want to invest Molas into it just for that? Because I don't think she'll be that great against non-fire units. Against fire units, looks like she's going to be amazing. All right, Green Armin. No one really uses this. He used to be super meta in Guild Wars, actually, but outside of that, never saw him in RTA. When it is not the caster's turn, this attack... So what, they want to put him on counter? When it is not the caster's turn. So when it is his turn, it's only... interesting. When attacked, has a 15% chance to counterattack. When an ally, except for the caster, is tapped, it decreases damage suffered by one more than... Huh. That is interesting. So he has a built-in counter, a built-in, like, better Aureus, I guess, or like a adamant. Yeah, a better adamant, basically. Interesting. I believe he's a knight too, right? Is he? Can he run Elbrus? 25% chance to counterattack after Awaken. Shield Wall. If he's a knight, I actually think he could be pretty toxic. He's a knight, right? It's not something weird like he's a warrior or something. If he's a knight, he has built-in counterattack. You could kind of use him like Belian, right? Except every time he Elbruses or counters, he counters with an AoE attack that has a 35% chance to stun the enemy team. That sounds very toxic. Huh. That might be very annoying to deal with. Oh, and his exclusive equipment increases it even more, so 30% chance then? 30% chance to counter? So it is a knight. There you go. Dual attack or counter attack. This sounds really toxic. This sounds really toxic. And I'm going to use it. I bet people will use this. Like an AoE counter on a knight, so it's going to be hard to kill him. Well, other than Huayang. Huayang, like, freaking broke the game. But, yeah, like, he can just counter people in the face, stun entire teams. You're going to have to build him tanky with high effectiveness, though. But that's fine. Yeah, you don't really need that much effectiveness. Build, like, if you want, you could get away with, like, 30, just to make sure you don't get resisted by any DPS and just give up trying to stun Soul Weavers and stuff. This one actually looks pretty sus. I think the winners here are Armin, Koli just against Huayang, Aither I think is still ass. Destina, I'm not fully sold, but I think she's gonna be pretty good if Stall is usable. This, I think, will remain not used much. These are just my predictions. This, I don't know. I'm gonna assume it's still not gonna be used unless she's fast, but who knows, I could be wrong. Diene, I feel like, still won't be used that much. Dark Corvus was never used to begin with, only Guild Wars. I think in Guild Wars this still doesn't really fix his problem. And Silverblade Aramintha, I'm sure people will try to use her. I love this hero. I don't know if this will... Actually, yeah. I mean, for Cleavers, yeah, I think Cleavers could use this, but they... With the double ban, I guess you just ban Mediator, Cowrick, and Delibet and try to play old school Control. Maybe. It might work. It might work now that we have 2 pre-bans. So there you go. Anyways, that's my take on these balance patch adjustments. Overall, pretty interesting stuff. Yeah, I can't wait to see. I think I'm really curious to see mostly how Destina, Armin, and to a lesser extent, Silverblade Aramintha performs. The other ones seem kind of niche to me. But we will see. We will see when the patch comes out in 2 weeks. So anyways, if I missed anything, as always, call me out. Thanks for watching. Until next time. Peace out, boys.